Okay, now we're going to talk about compression. And people, if you've never used compression or heard people talking about compression, people tend to freak out about compression like it's some crazy I mean, it could be the difference between you sounding like someone on the radio versus a light conversation. It controls a lot of what's going on in the voiceover. Basically, what compression does is it reduces the dynamic range of the voiceover. So let's say this is your loudest and this is your quietest. So a highly compressed voiceover, those are closer together. If a voiceover isn't compressed as much, it's way farther apart. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk loud and then I'm going to talk really quiet. Hello everyone, my name is Andre Angelo. Okay, so we have this here. Hello everyone, my name is Andre Angelo. So we can see this drastic change in volume here. So let's just trim that, Control T, so we can see what's happening here. Now, compression will, let me delete this really fast. Okay, so compression will, or a highly compressed voiceover they'll sound almost identical because what do we call it? The loudest part of the voiceover will be crushed down until it matches the other one pretty much. You'll see what I'm talking about. So let's just open up a single band compressor. And we're going to set the threshold. Or first, let's just hear some of these presets really fast. So let's just do the one called voiceover and we can hear what's happening. And without me explaining anything, let me just show you what's happening. Hello everyone, my name is Andre Angelo. So, phone went off. So let me copy this, paste it here, and we can just see like A to B comparing what's happening. So if I highlight this portion and hit apply, it'll apply the effects only to the selected area. So you can see this portion gets louder and this one gets lower. Let's see what's happening. So let's look at the one on the right. So just pay attention to the quieter area right now. So you can see that this portion is brought up a pretty good amount. And let's go back. And now let's watch the left area. This portion doesn't really get louder. You can see like the peak right here doesn't get louder, but it gets, beefed up a little bit. So let's hear the difference. Hello everyone, my name is Andre Angelo. Hello everyone, my name is Andre Angelo. So what's happening is it's making stuff louder, right, while crushing it down. So let's look. Okay, so let's start messing with this one now. So let's bring up that single band compressor again. And let's look what's happening. So the threshold. The threshold is where the compressors kicks on. Okay, so if we look here, okay, if we zoom in here, we can see 18 decibels. So this is 18 decibels, this line right here. Fall down. So we can see this big chunk is pretty much the only thing over 18 decibels. So let's just put that at exactly 18 decibels. Oops, 18. And we're going to set the ratio, which basically what the ratio is it takes in X amount of decibels. Okay, so let's say it takes in 10 decibels. And let's put this 5 to 1. Let's put it 10 to 1. That's what we'll do. Okay, so if this is 10 to 1, if it takes in 10 decibels, okay, it'll output 1. Okay, so we'll see what's happening with that in a second. And we're going to put the attack and release to very low numbers, and I'll talk about those in a second. But so all we did was 18 decibels, this line right here, 10 to 1 ratio, and let's hit apply, and we'll just apply it to this portion right here. So you can see the only thing affected was that one portion at 18 decibels. See that? Because that's where the compressor turns on. See that? Now we can see this part is still like a bit louder because it's outputting, less. But let's see. If we up this ratio to 30, I was going to say infinity, but we can see now it's not, let's see. What are we doing here? Let's see. Let me hold on one second. Let me up the ratio to 20 so we have a little more clearance. So now let's see what's happening. Oh, so now we're almost strictly at 18. Let's see. Let's keep upping it. Let's up it. So what we're going to do here is we want to find a position in the voiceover where it's about the middle. Okay, so let me undo all of this, and let's put about the average, right? We're gonna try to find visually where the average is, and that's about here. It's about 18. So we're gonna put this back at 18. We're gonna put the ratio. Usually for voiceovers, you want it between 3 and 5, just so it's not too extreme. So let's just put it at 4 for right now. And the attack and release need to be quick, because the attack is how fast the compressor turns on. So if you have the threshold at 18 and your audio hits 18, and this is why we were getting that little snag earlier, because it's 5 milliseconds before it turns on. So if I did the thing I was doing earlier, remember where it wasn't working, and then if I put it at 30 and then I put the attack at 0, right? So now we won't get that snag, right? Watch. So see that? Before it was giving that little piece and I was confused at why that was happening. I just forgot to adjust the attack. So the attack is how quickly the compressor turns on. Okay? So we want that relatively fast in voiceover, because you don't want a loud noise to happen, and then it would basically sound like you scream, and just after you scream, someone cranks it down. It wouldn't sound like it's quieter. It would sound like it would just sound strange, like someone going, "Oh," like that, instead of just like a quiet, steady pitch. So you could leave this at 0, and you could leave the release at 0, and it's very, very surgical. The release, sorry, is how long it takes the compressor to turn off. So once it senses something is below the threshold, how long it takes to turn off. So you want to have these fairly low for voiceover, because you don't want this pumping effect to happen of it cranking on and off at a delay. And the output gain is, since this is crushing the audio, you want output gain to basically make up that loss. So, okay, so let's use this. So we have 18 as our threshold. Okay, and this will vary depending on the audio. And we'll set the ratio to 4, right? So pretty good compression for voiceover. Again, the highest you probably want to go with voiceover is 5, or otherwise it would sound crazy. I'll show you it sounding crazy in a second. We have the attack real quick. You can set these both to 5 if you want. That's usually a good spot to sit at with voiceover. And then let's leave the output gain 0, so there won't be any gain at the end. So now let's apply that to all of this, and you can see that this didn't get affected at all, because there's no output gain, right? There's nothing, all it's doing is crushing down this portion. It's not, since it's below 18 decibels, it's not affecting this at all. So now with this, you want to have some output gain. So since we have such extreme differences here, so let's put the output gain at about 7. And since we're putting 7, let's crush the audio a bit more. So let's have it start working at, let's say 24. So what we can see after we do this is that the volumes will be pretty similar. So you see this? It's not too much, because right, it's not the same, right? The same, if it was the same, it would be something you would hear on the radio, where everything is so crunchy and compressed. So let's listen to this. Let me make it a bit quieter so we're not blowing out eardrums, but we can see they're a bit closer. Hello everyone, my name is Andre Angelo. So it's closer, right? Which is what you want. So now let me show you what I'm talking about with that radio, that radio voiceover. So with some people do the voiceovers like this, and they don't realize it sounds terrible. But let's set the threshold to a lot quieter. So it's hard to tell what this is at. Let's see, let's zoom in here. So we're looking at about 30 decibels. So now if we put minus 30, okay, which is basically the loudest it is right here, and then put the ratio to, let's put it as 8, okay? And then we'll leave everything the same. Let's not adjust the output gain so that everything is just cut, nothing's added. And let's move this. So now look, everything's the same, right? Everything's the same. We have it quiet. So let's just use this little button here. We can bring everything up, and you can see it's very close to being the same. Actually, let's do it a little more extreme than that even. Let's put the ratio to 15 and the threshold to 31. Or sorry, not 31. That's 35. Okay. So now we have this, let's apply it. So now these are virtually identical in volume. You can see that they're both the same thing. So let me turn this up a bunch. And what'll happen here is since it's crushed so much and I'm turning it up a bunch, you can see the background noise right here is through the roof because it's also being brought up. So we didn't do the background noise reduction beforehand. So you'd want to do that beforehand, but let's listen to what's happening here. Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Angelo. So you can see that sounds insane. And some people do their voiceovers like that. You do not want to do that. You want it to just be subtle changes. So there's more consistency. Basically, the reason you use compression is so that if you're listening to something, you don't go, what's he saying? Oh, it's too loud. What's he saying? Oh, it's too loud. What's he saying? Oh, it's too loud. You're basically fixing that. So for this, again, I would put it about 18 because that's about the middle. I put the ratio to about 4, set the attack and release fairly even. And you don't really have to add output gain, right? And the reason you don't is because you can always fix that later. So let's just close that, apply this, get them closer together. Okay. Then we can bring them both up. And for voiceover, it's good to not go too far above 3 decibels. So if I zoom out here, you can see the 3 right here. And there's a little quick in the favorites. There's a normalized to 3, which basically brings everything up until the loudest point of the entire voiceover, which would be, I'm pretty sure right here, hits 3 decibels. It doesn't change the audio at all. It just scales up the whole thing. So let's hit normalize to 3. And there we go. See the 3? It's exactly right there. So now we have a bit closer. It doesn't sound overly compressed like the radio, but it's more consistent. So let's listen to this. Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Angelo. So there we go. And that's a very brief intro to compression.